Hi, welcome to class. What we focused on today, I first gave a huge disclaimer. We are starting a new unit. We are starting religion. We're mainly focusing on Islam first. We will be talking about Islam for a few weeks. Main reason being is it's a Kentucky standard that we are teaching Islam for this long. But the second reason is I am just focusing on the history of Islam. That please keep in mind, I'm not trying to teach you how to believe or what to believe in, that if you have a strong faith in something, that please continue to do so. That I'm not teaching what's right or what's wrong, just more so the history, so that way you understand different religions around the world. We will eventually start talking about other religions such as Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. But we first, because it is our teaching standards, we start off with Islam for a bit. So if you go to Google Classroom, big reminder, please don't forget about your quote of the days. They're super important. Please make sure you are taking them seriously. I'm getting a lot of responses that are just IDK or Muhammad is a man. Please make sure they're meaningful, that you do, try to grade them. In class today, what we mainly focused on was this assignment called the 5 Pillars of Islam. When you click on it, there are 3 attachments, and that's really important to know. That please make sure you open up all 3, because you need to actually really truthfully use all 3. So what we focused on is, what are the teachings of Muhammad? And the first thing I want to say about the word Muhammad, it is spelt very differently depending on what part of the world you live in. So if you're used to the spelling of M-O-H, that is okay. So if you look things online or you have a friend named Muhammad that spells it differently, it doesn't mean one is right or wrong. There's tons of different spellings for a person's name. So just kind of keep that in mind. Muhammad is the messenger of Islam. He's kind of the creator. Similar to how Christians believe that Jesus was the creator of Christianity, or Abraham was the creator of Judaism for Jews. Muhammad was theirs. That Muhammad was wandering and got a huge vision from Allah, which is Arabic for God, and started the religion. That Muhammad's teachings of how the religion spread broke down into what they call 5 pillars, which is found in their holy book called the Quran. So how you do this? So this part should be super easy. You're just simply naming the 5 pillars, their Arabic name, and then giving a definition. So how you find that? If you go to the slideshow, and most students found this slideshow super helpful, I will say it is okay to copy for this assignment. But what I do not want you to do is please do not copy the entire slideshow. Okay, find what you think is important to the definition. And then, yes, you're welcome to copy, because some of these words are in Arabic and a little bit harder to pronounce. So we kind of went through each and every single slide to talk about that. So what they came up with, the first one is Shahada. And again, I apologize. I'm not fluent in Arabic, so if I mispronounce stuff, I apologize for those who do practice this religion. So Shahada, the first pillar, is the belief in one God named Allah. We kind of talked about in class that is very familiar, that most religions have some kind of belief in that. Christians, their commandments believe in one God. Judaism, belief in one God. But what I did express, that Islam, just to be considerate of their religion, they don't call it God. They call it Allah. That is really important to note, that a lot of students' responses will tell me, oh, Muslims believe in one God. Yes, that is true, but please name him Allah. And their message is Muhammad. The reason why this one's so important, and we kind of talked about history a little bit, that it's extremely important to know this, because back in that time period, most people believed in multiple gods. That's when you had Greek mythology like Zeus and Poseidon, and Egypt, which is where this was kind of by. In the Middle East, believed in different gods like Anubis and Osiris. That for someone to come up and tell you, hey, there's only one God, was very rare. Most societies today have, either don't believe in God at all, or they do believe in one God, that polytheistic religions are kind of waiting out. But back in that time period, that was a big, big point. The second pillar is Salat, which means you have to pray 5 times a day. And it is important, so please look at the slideshow of when they pray. And obviously, just like any religion, people do things differently based on their family or what's right for them. This is just a rough template that very devout Muslims try to do this. But obviously, some Muslims, we kind of talked to in class, one student shared that they are Muslim, that they don't follow this to a T. And that's okay because, religion looks differently for everybody. But the big thing that to notice was they pray facing towards Mecca, which means in America, anyone who's Muslim in America would face east. That is very important because Mecca is their holy land. So they try to face praying towards their holy land. So that's the second pillar. The third would be zakat, which was my personal favorite, which is to give a percentage of money to charity and to poor. This was used as a way to show appreciation to Allah, that they wanted to really emphasize, and you see this a lot with Islams and Muslims, that there's a big emphasis of appreciating what you have and helping out with those who are in need and in poor, which is why I think that one's important because I think everyone should do that in a sense of helping the poor. The fourth one is Swam, and I, again, apologize if I'm saying it wrong. This is a fasting, and we kind of talked about fasting. Fasting is a word meaning restriction of food, meaning you give up food or drinks of some sort. Every religion does this. It might look a little bit different. So, for example, I shared that, I'm Catholic, which is a form of Christianity, that we don't eat meat on Fridays during Lent, during Easter season. That is a type of fasting. But for them, fasting during the month of Ramadan. It's usually here in America, usually in the springtime. It's where they eat before the sun rises and sun sets. So no sunlight. And then during that daytime, they don't eat. So that doesn't mean they don't eat anything throughout the day. They just eat a really, really big breakfast and a really, really big dinner. It's used, though, as a self-discipline to show that they are obedient to Allah. It takes a lot of self-restraint. It also is supposed to teach them about poverty, that to make you reflect how nice it is to eat meals every day whenever you feel like it, and restricting that makes you appreciate what you have. Ramadan is one of their major holidays. I encourage you to look it up. It's a huge holiday for Islams. The last one is hijab, which we had talked about with Manza and Musa when we talked about West Africa. That once in their lifetime, they're supposed to make what is called a pilgrimage, which means to travel. They have to travel to Mecca, their holy land, at least once in their life. There are exceptions. For example, if they're in extreme poverty or physically unable, they don't have to, but it's encouraged. I told people to look at this picture on the slideshow. All these little white dots is not snow. It is actually people, that there's roughly around 5 million people a year that go. Mecca is most famous. People call it the box. It is not a box. It's actually quite large. It is a temple where they pray towards, thinking that's where Muhammad got his vision from Allah. They also wear white. The reason why everyone's wearing white was a sign, A, of purity, B, that all men are treated equally, that you're going to face Allah and everyone's treated equally. So a lot of them will wear white. Not all the time, but just when they go on their pilgrimage, which is pretty fascinating. So once you have that, you can turn this one in. Now, this bottom part, so keep it open, but you can hit turn in. Usually I have you write a paragraph at the end. Hold on. You do not have to do that this time. What you are doing is you are creating a slideshow. I have created one for you to help you out with the template. So this is the third attachment. I want word, definition, picture. Please do not forget the picture. So for example, pillar 1, I go back to my worksheet. And if you did a good job with this, you can copy and paste most of this. So pillar 1 is Shahada. I can copy and paste the definition, and then I just have to include a picture. You do that for all 5 pillars. The last 2 are the most important. This is where I want you to think. Please be responsive. Please don't just put one word. That looking back, which pillar do you find the most important? I shared earlier that for me, I would have put zakat because I like giving to charity. And notice how I explain myself. So please don't just put pillar 2. Please explain yourself. Which pillar do you like the most? The second question, which I put on here, the pillar you find to be the most challenging. Religion is always challenging in some senses. which one of these, if you had to practice or you are practicing Muslim, would you struggle with the most? For me personally, it would probably be praying 5 times a day. Just because that's a huge time restraint and I tend to be forgetful. Once you're done with that, so again, you need a definition picture for all 5 pillars, answering these last 2 questions. Once you're done, turn it in. Please make sure you hit turn in for the slideshow and the Google Doc. You need to have both. And that is it. Once you're done with that, please turn it in. Your other assignment called How Religion Spreads, we will have a video and go over that Thursday. Bye, guys.